This is Summit 2010. Please welcome co-founder and CEO, Scott Farquhar.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Farquhar. I'm the co-founder of Atlassian, and I'm really excited to welcome you all here to the second annual Atlassian Summit. Now, I wasn't able to make it here last year. I was on my honeymoon, but last year for our first ever Atlassian Summit, it was huge. We had 325 attendees for our first ever Atlassian Summit. And this year, though, it's even bigger. This year, we have 550 of you attending this conference, with over 200 people on the waiting list. I want to say a big thanks to all of you for buying a ticket, a huge thanks, and I especially want to say thanks to those of you who are returning for the second year in a row. There's a particular attendee I'd like to thank, John Bowersox. John Bowersox has been an Atlassian customer since 2007, and last year he was the first person to register for Atlassian Summit. Now this year when we printed off the attendee list and scrolled to the top, we were kind of astonished to see that John Bowersox had yet again registered first for Atlassian Summit. So next year, John, we've beaten you to it. You can stop pressing refresh on your browser. We've paid for and registered for you for Summit 2011. So you'll soon get to hear all the amazing product announcements and demos we've got for you here at Summit. But before we start, I'd like to say a thanks to those people who've made this Summit possible. This Summit would not be possible without the help of our amazing sponsors. Now, all of these sponsors are longtime friends and partners of Atlassian, and without them, it just wouldn't be possible for us to host a Summit of this size. I had an opportunity last night to go up to the partner pavilion, and I've met with all the partners and sponsors, and without exception, every single one has something exciting to demo here at Summit. Either it's a new product they're launching, or it's a service they've got that they want to tell you about, or maybe a new commercial plugin that they've got. Everyone has something that's worth seeing, so make sure before you leave Summit, you get a chance to go up there and talk with every single one of our sponsors, because without them, this Summit just wouldn't be possible. I'd also like to say a huge thanks to our staff. This year we've grown the Atlassian staff. We've added 80 people this year, and all 260 of us have been working tirelessly to make sure this Summit is a success for all of you. Whether it's the 30 people we've flown in from around the world to answer your questions, or the support people who are going to answer your technical questions at the support bar, which we call Atlas Bar in a sort of a nod to Apple's Genius Bar. Or it's the development teams who've been working tirelessly to get the product releases out so that you can get the products that we're announcing at Summit today. And also huge thanks to the marketing team who put on all the logistics, and especially even that video you saw earlier, which I saw for the first time earlier today, and it's amazing. These guys have done an awesome job. So a huge thank you to all our staff. On a personal note, though, I also want to thank the staff not just for the work that they've done at the Atlassian Summit, but for the work they do every single day of the year. Now, I'm sort of lucky enough, or Mike and I and the team, we're lucky enough to wake up every day and work with an incredibly talented, creative, passionate group of people. Now, when Mike and I started Atlassian 8 years ago, we never thought we'd get the opportunity to work with such a great group of people, and every day we're privileged and honored to get to work with these guys. We keep throwing them curveballs and they keep knocking it out of the park. In October last year, our support went up 40% because we had such successful launches of our products. And our support team heads down and they managed to get through our support load and get on top of it. I challenged Jay last year. I said, mate, you've got to make this year's Summit bigger and better than ever. And to his credit, this is bigger than we could ever have thought it to be. So I'm incredibly privileged to work with such a great group of people every day, and unfortunately we couldn't fly everyone into Summit, but I just want to say thank you to those of you who are watching us around the globe at our other Atlassian offices. I'm privileged to get to work with you guys every day. Now, it's not just the products and services and the legendary service that we provide that we aim for. So we don't just try to be excellent at our products and services, we try to be excellent at everything that we do. And I was quite proud this year that we got some awards, we got recognized for some of the other things that we do that isn't sort of the bits you see every day. I was quite, maybe chuffed is the right word, to see that we won some awards for our marketing. The marketing campaigns we've run over the last year, we won prestigious Marketing Sherpa Award. We also got recognised for the human resources practices, for the way we treat our staff when we won 2 HR awards. We were mentioned in a TED talk. It's been one of my goals to attend TED, and Dan Pink talked about us in his TED talk about the innovative practices that we use at Atlassian, and we got recognised for the charitable contributions that we do. So I was pretty proud that we got recognised for this whole bunch of work that we do in other areas that you don't get to see every day. So what have we got coming up for you today at the Summit? Well, last year's Summit was huge, and we used the feedback that you gave us last year to make this year's even better. This year we've got 50 speakers, 3 tracks, and over 30 hours of high-quality content for you guys to enjoy. We've vetted every speech, and we're sure that you'll enjoy each and every hour of content. We've listened to your feedback. Last year you told us that you wanted to hear more from your fellow customers. You wanted to hear the problems that they had and how they'd solved them. So this year we have 12 lightning talks, quick 5-minute sessions where you can hear how other customers have solved problems. You told us you wanted to hear more from our product teams. You wanted to hear from Atlassian how we use our tools. And so we've got product fireside chats where you can have a dialogue with our product teams and get to hear what our plans are and how we think about our products and how we think about solving your problems. We've got the ever popular Atlas bar back again this year. Last year it was full. It was a hugely popular stand. So if you have any technical questions, you want to chat one-on-one with our support staff, or perhaps you've called them before and you just want to put a face to the name, please rock up to the Atlas bar. That'll be running the entire time. If you want to hear from our product teams, we've got the Charlie Lounge that'll be running the entire time, and you can have a one-on-one chat with our product teams about what's in store, or you can sign up for our peep shows, which are short 20-minute looks into the future of our products, where you can sit down one-on-one and you'll get a preview of what we're coming up in our product suite, and you can give us feedback on that. Now, I hope you all had a good sleep last night, because tonight we've got a great party lined up for you. We've got the Atlassian Gala, which was a huge hit last year, and it's going to be even bigger this year. And of course, all the little extras that you'll come to see throughout the show. So, as I mentioned, it's a huge year for Atlassian. We added 80 staff. We had our first user summit. We had our second Atlas Camp, our developer conference. We opened a Brazilian office, and we can now provide true 24/5 support. We have 5 support offices around the world. On the product side, I was really excited to see the open social dashboards that we released last year. We announced last year and we released throughout the year. This enables us to put content from any of our products and put them all together in one place, and you'll see a lot more of that at this show. A few months ago, we launched the integration between Google Applications and our hosted suite, Jira Studio, and that integration allows developers to have one single location to go for all their information, whether it's about products or whether it's about their email and their documents. So I was really excited to see us build that this year. I guess everyone has a favorite feature, and I have 2. I'm a bit of a productivity Nazi. Those of you who know me, I often snatch the keyboard away from people and teach them how to use keyboard shortcuts. And so I was really excited to use the Jira query language, JQL, to allow to search for issues in a technical way. And that's a huge step forward for those people who use Jira, and I use it every day. And especially the last 2 versions of Confluence that have had autocomplete. Now I've moved from I used to be a wiki markup person, I'd use it all the time, and it was great. Now I've moved to the rich text editor because I can autocomplete links to users, to images, to other pages in Confluence. And those 2 features have saved me a ton of time. So, but the numbers that the numbers and the exciting stories that get me and Mike really excited and out of bed and coming to work each day are our customer numbers. How many customers do we get to help each year? How many success stories? How many of your success stories have we played a part in? And this year, I'm pleased to announce that it has been our best ever year for customers. This year we acquired, or we helped more customers than any year in the history of Atlassian. In fact, in April, more people purchased an Atlassian product for the first time than ever in the history of Atlassian. So it was, for a short month with Easter, a rocky month of helping new customers. And these numbers don't even count the starter licenses that we've got. We have about another 20,000 starter licenses, people who've bought $10 products. So we've had an awesome year, and hopefully we've helped all you build software or hardware or with your projects, and that's kind of what gets me out of bed every morning. There's some other success stories I want to highlight a little bit. I personally believe in code review. I'm not sure how many of you do code review as a development practice, but we use it religiously inside Atlassian. And over the course of this year, we've seen that almost double the number of teams are using Crucible, our code review product, for code reviews. Now, we use it internally. In some teams, every single line of code gets reviewed by another person, and we found it hugely useful, especially with distributed teams. Now we've got offices, we do software development in 4 locations around the world, and we use code review to review code between these teams and make sure everyone's on the same page. Crucible is the world's #1 code review tool, and I'm really excited because we just released a version a few weeks ago, Crucible 2.3, that has an innovative feature called pasty reviews. Now, a lot of people shy away from code review because it seems, it's going to be really difficult for me to get started with my team, and I'm going to have to print out pages of notes and sit in a dark room, for hours on end to do code review. And Crucible makes it easy, and the pasty reviews make it even easier. You can just take any code, paste it into Crucible, and then instantly start a code review with your colleagues. So we found that incredibly useful, and you'll see more innovative features come in Crucible in the future. Another trend that we're seeing at Atlassian, we're seeing more people want to use Atlassian's tools. They want to use great software development tools, but they want someone else to manage the hosting, the upgrades, and the integration of our products. So this year we've seen a huge move towards our hosted products. More than double what we were last year, people using Jira Studio or our hosted versions of Jira and Confluence. As I mentioned before, I was particularly excited about this because the hosted versions allow us to do 2 things that we can't do behind the firewall. One is we can set up all the integrations between the Atlassian products for you. So we can have really exciting integrations such as, and things coming in the future, things like if a build breaks, we can reopen the issue that was closed and say, hey, this issue isn't really fixed. Or if it fails a code review, we can again reopen the issue and say, well, this issue is not really closed yet, the code review failed. And this year we also, the other part I'm really excited about is the integration between our hosted products and other hosted products out there in the cloud. And we ramped up a team internally to build more of these features, and the first one we did was Google Applications. So you can, in Google, with your integration with Jira Studio today, if you purchase Studio with the integration with Google Apps, you can see your Gmail inside Jira Studio. You can get instant message notifications when the build fails. So when the build breaks, you can get an instant message instantly showing you what the issue was. We can show you all your applications in one spot, and you're going to see more and more of Atlassian integrating our hosted products with other hosted products out there in the cloud. And this year we finally realized a dream of Mike and mine. We started Atlassian 8 years ago because we wanted everyone to have the best software development tools, regardless of what team size you were. So if you're a big team or a small team, you could afford to have the best tools money could buy. This year, though, I think we finally nailed it. There's a lot of companies out there, a lot of startups, or maybe you're a skunkworks project inside a large company and you can't afford the best tools. You have to sort of make do and get by. And this year we launched our $10 starter licenses for 10 users. And these things have been incredibly popular. Last week we ended up selling over 50,000 of these starter licenses to teams such as yourselves. So we would have given these things away for free, but we chose to charge $10 for it, and we'll use that money for charity. And to date, we've raised over $500,000 for my favorite charity, Room to Read. Room to Read, we had John Wood up here last year, and he gave a little talk, but Room to Read help children in developing countries get an education, and the money that you guys have donated have helped raise enough money to build 16 reading rooms. And these rooms get built by the communities. We provide the money, or you guys provide the money, and these rooms get built by the communities and then become a focal point for the community. We sponsored 68 girls to get an education that they otherwise wouldn't get. These scholarships go for 10 years, and they provide a bicycle and a backpack, and they give the family money so that these girls don't have to work in the fields. So as a result of your contributions and the money you've paid for starter licenses, we've managed to help thousands of people in the developing world. So if you know any teams, any small teams, Skunkworks projects, please... I'd like to quickly talk about another high point for me this year has been the plugin exchange and the plugins that we have at Atlassian. So last year on stage, Mike announced the availability of the plugin exchange. So this, for the first time ever, we had a single place for you to find, download, and install plugins. If you're a plugin developer, you had a single place you could upload them to so people could find them. And when we launched last year, we had 250 plugins available, which I think is pretty good for launch day to have 250. But the response over the last year since we launched it has been, to me, has been amazing. In the last year, we've doubled the number of plugins that are available in the plugin exchange. And so now, for every customer of ours, there's over 500 plugins that provide extra value to you as customers. Some of them are commercial, but a large number of them are free, so make sure you check out the exchange. But I broke these numbers down. 512 plugins, I sort of wanted to dig into this, and I found that we're updating and we're creating a plugin, or we're not, well, the community is creating a plugin every day. Every day someone is thinking, okay, how can I make Jira or Confluence or Bamboo or any of our other tools just that little bit better? And these plugins are available for you. Now, every day a plugin gets created, but they're not just created and sort of left up there. They're continually updated and modified, and new functionality is added. So every 8 hours, a new version is being released. Someone is updating a plugin and giving you new functionality, new features are available every 8 hours. And the number that blew me away was every 30 seconds, a plugin is installed. So every 30 seconds, someone is downloading and installing a plugin from the plugin exchange. And that means over the course of the next year, over 1 million plugins will be installed from the plugin exchange. So to me, that's an awesome story, and the story that sort of really warms my heart the most is our commercial plugin vendors. A few years ago, there were two guys who left their job. They believed that there was a room in the world for a better diagramming tool than Visio. And they left their companies and they started a startup, and they built their first version of the product inside Confluence. And a few years ago, Gliffy was born, and they've since gone on. They've used Confluence and the money that they they got from building Atlassian plugins to now build a whole business. And these guys are now a successful software startup. And being a software startup only a few years ago myself, I kind of like the fact that we've now sort of given birth to the next generation of software companies. And Gliffy's not the only example. There's the TaskDoc guys who build awesome workflows and notifications inside Confluence and make it easier to work with large teams of people in Confluence. There's the Refine Wiki. If you want a theme, you want to make Confluence sort of look different or run on a public site, they've got an awesome theme. There's Mini Confluence if you want to use Confluence on your mobile device. And Minya, if you're a company that uses a large number of some professional services people and you want to do extensive time tracking, you can have a time tracking plugin that ties in deeply with Jira, so you don't have to duplicate a lot of data. And we've got dozens of examples of small software companies who've built their companies around Atlassian. So why would you write a plugin? Now we think most of the plugins still get written for internal use. Most people build plugins for their own company. Maybe they've got some integration that they want to do, or there's a particular feature or improvement they'd like to our products. So most people end up writing things internally. But we see that there's going to be more and more people building businesses around our plugin system. People who are going to build software companies building on the Atlassian platform with 18,000 customers and over 1 million downloads a year. So if you want to get started writing a plugin, during the course of last year, we made it a lot easier to get started. In 10 minutes, you can get up and running with a plugin. Now, previously, it was kind of a pretty tough process, but I tried it recently myself, and I haven't coded in a long time. And I can get it up and running in 10 minutes to writing my first plugin. We provide a system for everyone. If you want to have your own bug tracker and your own source code online, we've got a Jira Studio instance that you can use. And finally, if you want to see other people who are doing plugin development and you want to have a good time, it's a really good time. We have a developer conference, Atlas Camp, coming up in October. So plugins we're seeing incredible success on the plugin creation of plugins and use of plugins. But to date, we sort of haven't really evolved the plugin management inside our products. We're still pretty much set with the plugins system we had a few years ago, which allow you to install and uninstall and manage your plugins, but don't allow you to easily download them and find out what's available. In particular, it's a problem to upgrade our products. If you have running Confluence with 50 plugins, it's a real tedious process at the moment to work out which plugins are going to work in the future version of your products, or of our products. So I'm pleased to announce today the Universal Plugin Manager, which is a huge improvement on what we have. Now, this Plugin Manager allows you to manage your plugins, allows you to upgrade them from within the product, allows you to browse the plugin exchange and see which plugins are available, and see which plugins are available for your specific version of Confluence or Jira or any of our other products. But the feature that I'll demo in a moment that I'm most excited about is the feature that allows you to upgrade Confluence or Jira or Bamboo or any of our products, and it will tell you which of the plugins will work, and it will automatically upgrade all the plugins for your system. So this is going to save a huge amount of time. And this plugin manager is going to be available in all of our products. So we'll see a lot more plugins being written for Bamboo and Fisheye and Crucible and our sort of smaller Atlassian products as it becomes easier for people to install them. So I'll show you a quick demo. This is the plugin manager running, Universal Plugin Manager running inside Jira. You can see it sort of runs as a plugin itself. And I'll do the demo inside Confluence just to show you the same thing running in both systems. So as you'd expect, you can easily search for which plugins you have installed, and without leaving the system, you can enable, disable, or uninstall plugins. Now, one feature I'm particularly excited about that's going to save us a ton of support calls and save you a lot of hassle is safe mode. Now, occasionally you might install a plugin, or you want to troubleshoot some issue you're having with a plugin. You're not sure whether some text on the screen got created from a plugin or it's running slow and you want to debug. Well, one simple click, you uninstall temporarily all the user-installed plugins and take Confluence or Jira or any of our products back to the mode they were in when they shipped. So you can then troubleshoot the system, work out what the issue is, and then with a single click take you back to the configuration you had before you started. I think that's going to save you a whole bunch of time if you want to install a whole lot of plugins and troubleshoot. We've added an audit log for those of you that have a lot of administrators and want to see what people have been up to. You can see the audit log. Of course, we have full integration with the plugin exchange that we announced last year. So you can see the featured plugins, or you can search for any plugin. So there must be something to do with mockups that's available for Confluence. Let me do a quick search. And yep, Balsamiq. Balsamiq is a plugin that you can download. And from within the product, I can get a sort of an overview of the plugin that's available. I can see, yep, it's a commercial plugin. I can click through and see some screenshots or plugin ratings or popularity. And if I want to, without leaving the product, I can install that plugin. As you saw, I didn't have to restart, and that plugin is now available for use inside the product. Of course, many of you have dozens of plugins that you've already installed, dozens of plugins that you want to check, well, what's new, what's available? And this is new. You can, without leaving the product, see which versions are available for upgrade. And previous to this, you would have had to go to the web, search for each individual plugin, see which versions, download them, install them. Now you can upgrade each plugin individually, or with the touch of a button, upgrade every single plugin in your system to the latest version. So we think this is going to be a huge time saver, and it's going to allow everyone to be on the latest version of plugins. But the part, as I said, the part I'm most excited about is the upgrade check. So it's a painful process at the moment if you've used dozens of plugins to upgrade to the latest version. So it's here I'm going to check. I'm running an old version of Confluence. I want to check, well, I want to upgrade it to 3.2.1. Let me see which plugins are compatible, which plugins are incompatible. Which plugins do I need to upgrade before I upgrade Confluence, and which plugins do I need to upgrade after I upgrade Confluence? And so this is going to save everyone a ton of time and make it a lot easier for everyone to consume plugins, and I'm really, really excited about this. The team's been working really hard, and it's available. It will be available in all of our products. So the Universal Plugin Manager, it's going to save everyone a whole bunch of time. And I saw this demo a few weeks ago, and I didn't want everyone to wait until the next shipping versions of our products. I didn't want everyone to wait 3 or 4 months to get this. So the Plugin Manager is available today in Jira and Confluence. You can leave the session, go to our plugins.atlassian.com, download the Plugin Manager, and install it in Jira and Confluence today. And we're going to have Bamboo, Fisheye, and Crucible available in a few weeks. So that's the Universal Plugin Manager. Now, I'd like to invite to the stage in a moment Rob Castaneda from Customware. Now, Rob's a close personal friend of mine, and Customware have been a great friend of Atlassian's for many years. They were our first Atlassian partner, and Rob's had great experience working with the Atlassian ecosystem. So I'd like to invite Rob Castaneda to the stage to talk about his experience with the Atlassian ecosystem and his experience writing Atlassian plugins. Please welcome Rob Castaneda.
Wow. 8 years later, after sitting in a coffee shop with Mike and Scott and Ben, and look where we are. This is amazing. I'm Rob Castaneda, and I'm the CEO of Customware. And I'm here to talk a little bit about what we do and our experience growing a business in the Atlassian ecosystem. So let's get straight to it. Our heritage, we started Customware in 2001. And we have a deep passion for making organizations more efficient. And in 2001, the way that we did this was by integrating systems. So we focused on integrating CRMs, integrating help desks, integrating anything in the back end, all about automation. Now, integration is one of those things that, like great software, when you do it well, the result is a business result, but nobody actually sees what you've done. There's not necessarily a user interface. So sometimes you can think of integration like shiny pipes. When things go wrong, it's a different story, right? You have all of the leaks and so forth that happen. We wanted a way in 2001 and 2002 to show our customers what we were doing. So we went on a wild search for an issue tracking system and came across Jira. If we used a tool to help run our projects and make the work that we were doing visible, we could provide value to our customers. So we started with Jira, and then obviously we moved over to Confluence, like I'm sure many of us here would have done. 8 years later, we're still running on the same system. Over 5 locations, nearly 100 staff. We now have over 1,000 projects in our system, about 500 users, 80,000 issues, and from memory, about 200,000 Confluence page edits over that time. And it's been remarkable to build a business based on transparency from a services perspective, not just from a product perspective, and continually innovate with the technologies, adopt them, and adapt them. So it's something we are very excited about and very happy about. 5 years ago, we also decided to run our website on Confluence. So our website itself is a wiki. And again, we pushed it to the limits because we didn't want it to look like Wikipedia. Up here is what we call our greenhouse, which is our lab section, which also contains all of our open source plugins. So can I get a show of hands for those that may have used some of our open source plugins? Excellent. So those will continue to remain free and available, and we're getting better and better at supporting those. As a services company, we focus on delivering solutions. One of our core values is share the knowledge, which is up there, and that's why we'll always contribute to the forums, we'll always contribute to supporting the open source plugins, and where we can, we'll release things for the community. Now, back in 2002, when we were installing these products, I did it all myself, right, like most of us here. And it's a great feeling that Atlassian products give you, because you can install Jira. I still remember installing this for the first time, showing it to the immediate team of 4 or 5 that we had, and everyone loved it, and I took all the credit for it. Right? Who's had that experience? Excellent. And it can do this, and it can do this, and it's got workflows and so forth. And so, that progressed. Confluence, I put that in, and again, I took the credit for it. Aren't I great? And so forth. And as time went on, more and more features, plugins. I don't have an IDE anymore. I'm not allowed to have that. Were being created. But I began to look a little bit like this, right? Where I was maintaining, installing, updating, and then you go back to just common business principles of saying, is the right person doing the right job right? And I'm sure that none of you are like this, right? I'm absolutely sure none of you are like this. So taking a step back, what we're trying to look for is saying, are we directing what's going on and having the right person do that? And even in our own business, we used to run and host our own Confluence and Atlassian systems. And by far, we have the skills to do that, but we chose to then outsource the hosting of that to our great partners at Contigix, because they focus on the uptime, we focus on the functional level. So thinking about what you're directing that has to happen, and that knowledge and IP that you have, and working to your strengths. So I want to talk a little bit more about some of the enterprise challenges that we see. We have a deep integration background, and then we started doing Atlassian work. From that, we created a collaboration practice. So integration is the connecting of systems, and collaboration is the connecting of people. And so we bring both of those skills together. And so we look at integrating Atlassian with Salesforce.com or other systems. And I wanted to share some of the common principles and functions of that and explain some of the patterns that exist. You see, when we put in Jira, we're working in a development team. And Jira issues become the API or the interface between all of our developers. So if I've got a bug, I need to give that to Roger. Roger, here's some work. Can you please do it? And Roger will say, yes, sir, and he'll do it and give that back. And I might expand that out of my development team into my QA team. One bug, and so forth. And if 2 people report the same bug, what do? We close one as a duplicate. Everyone's happy. We're speaking the same language. But when I move into support or the help desk, if 5 different customers report the same bug, and I create 5 issues in Jira, and my developers close 4 of them as duplicates, I have a problem. Right? So the context of the information, even though it's the same data and same information, it's very important to understand where it is. So the way we think about it is not just issues and the APIs between developers, but also the issues and the APIs between departments. So we've built these integrations before, and for several customers. In this case, we've done some work for Joanna, who is out there somewhere. I've been working with her for a while to implement that. And we've also helped hundreds of other customers, and there's a small sampling there. So regardless of whether your system is behind the firewall, hosted, or you're running Studio, you will need to connect it to other systems, but also connect it with other contexts. And of course, we can help you do that, and that's what we have been focusing on. For my next example, I'd like to invite Ms. Wendy Lee from Get Satisfaction to the stage. Thank you, Wendy. We have been using Get Satisfaction for just over a year now to run our support for our open source plugins. And Wendy Lee is here to talk a little about Get Satisfaction, and we'll share something that we've been working on.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Miss Wendy Lee, that seems very formal, doesn't it? It's a pleasure to be here, and congratulations to Mike Scott and the whole team for an amazing summit. So Get Satisfaction, 2.5 years old. I joined about 15 months ago. We're passionate about customer engagement, and traditionally we're known for our service and support. being able to crowdsource service and support to bring customers with each other to help each other before they go into traditional CRM systems. In addition to that, though, more and more, our customers use us for product ideas. And that's the connection that we want to make today that we're excited about announcing. As we move on, though, we want to talk very specifically about why customware. When I first joined, we were being asked more and more to connect Get Satisfaction as a social community into traditional back office systems of all sorts. And our team of 15 at the time, we didn't have the skills that were required. We didn't have the global coverage that was required. Just the whole issue of connectivity into an enterprise system was something we needed help with. And we were very fortunate to be introduced to Rob through part of the Atlassian ecosystem, actually. And from that, we built our very first connector into Salesforce that sits into AppExchange today. And now we're working on other plugins and other connectors like that. In addition, though, you can imagine so many of our customers use Jira. And they want to take the conversations that are sitting in the community that are happening and drive those into the Jira platform to make them actionable. So those ideas can then be placed appropriately into the product roadmap. So it's with that that we are proud to make an announcement today, or I should say Rob is.
Sure. Okay, so we've integrated the Get Satisfaction platform with Jira. So it's another connector that we've built that's available. So thank you. So we'll just walk straight through what we'll do. So I actually came across Get Satisfaction from Peldi at Balsamiq because they were using it for their customer support. And if you've ever asked any questions about our open source plugins, all of our support is done at Get Satisfaction as well. But the way that it works is that in Get Satisfaction, you'll have a conversation happening, and on the bottom right-hand corner there, you'll see the ability to create a Jira ticket. So the person who's managing the community can fire that straight across. On the Jira side, we'll have it configured where you can set up what I've set up in Jira, so what issue types and items that I have there, what do they map to in Get Satisfaction, so that we have a mapping between the systems, so that when issues are then created, we come back, we hit that little button, it says, great, it's been imported into Jira, it can then follow your workflows, go to the right person to action, because when customers or the community either complain or ask a question on the forum, you want to send it to the right person in Jira, have them action it and respond. And from there on, within the Get Satisfaction topic, you can see exactly what's happening. So the linked Jira issue is shown there, along with the various fields that need to be there.
So we're very grateful to Rob and Customware. We're very grateful to Atlassian, and we're excited to be able to make this announcement.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm out of time. So I'd thank you for your time, and please come and see us. I'd like to introduce you to another good-looking guy who happens to be the CEO of Atlassian and fellow co-founder, Mr. Mike Cannon-Brookes.
Thanks, mate. He swore he was going to make a joke about all my hair, but he didn't, so. Look, folks, it's awesome to be here again. Thank you very much all for coming back from me. My job is to tell you a little bit about how we think about your business and to run you through some of the updates we have to some of our major products. Just before I get started, don't forget we have another keynote tomorrow. We'll be focusing more on the detailed development tools and take you through a really exciting worked example. So I hope you, despite the party tonight, I hope you get up in the morning and come to that one. So let's get started. And really what I want to do first is explain a little bit about how we think about the problems that you guys have when you're building software. It's very interesting to think about the different cycles that your teams go on. So we really refer to this internally as the cycle we call the concept to launch cycle. So it's really how do we take anything from a 2-year release to a single iteration to a single feature, and how do we take that from the ideation stage all the way through to actually launching that, whether that's onto a public stage or whether that's internally within your business. So it's conceptually a very simple cycle. You start with the concept, you have to plan it, then you have to build it, and then you have to launch it. But when you drill into the detail, it's a little more complex. So when you guys have in your organizations a new product, a new feature, you have to have somebody there that comes up with the idea. They have a sketch or a mock-up of exactly what they think they'd like it to do. Now, in some organizations, this is a single person. In most organizations, though, it's more than just one person's job to hopefully come up with all of the ideas. I've always wanted to do that. So in a lot of organizations, you have a whole bunch of people that are involved at the ideation stage. It may be a product owner, product manager, it may be a business analyst, it may be some sort of stakeholder, right? Basically, there's a whole series of people that come together to perform a series of activities that are the concept phase. Everything from brainstorming to obviously the discussion that goes on about a new idea. Is this good? Is it bad? Should we add it to the product? Should we not? People will draw mock-ups and specs and things like that. Obviously, we have some tools that can help you with this phase, and as we've just seen, there's a whole lot of integrations with things like Get Satisfaction that can help draw the ideas in from broader stakeholders like the community. Once you've got that concept, you need to plan it. Again, it doesn't matter whether you're planning an entire 2-year release or a single iteration. You need to work out what all the little parts are that go together to make, in this example, we're making a robot. Again, in the planning phase, we have a whole series of stakeholders. Obviously, you start getting developers involved, and at this point, you probably start getting the people with the ties on, the managers involved in the process, be they engineering managers or product managers, or maybe even product marketing managers. They have to perform a series of activities in the planning, which is sort of basically estimating what we need to do, making concrete the list of activities that we think we're going to do, and there's probably a lot of arguments and some more discussion that goes on there. And then again, we've got a series of products, and if you're doing agile planning, obviously Green Hopper is, we think, the best thing since, well, perhaps cards on a wall. Then at some point, someone's got to actually build the thing, right? And that's a very important phase, but what we want to stress is that while developers are very important, and I'm not going to bounce around like Steve Ballmer, developers are very important, but there's a lot more people involved in the building stage than just the developers, right? You have to have management that helps move those developers in the right direction. You have to have the humble QA teams, performance engineers, the test engineers. All of these people are really important at the building phase. It's interesting that at Atlassian, we've actually written more test code than we have normal code in the last year. So we think this is a really important part of the process. Whole bunch of activities, and again, the activities are not just about coding here, but also testing, reviewing, and again, sort of more discussion that goes on all throughout the process. We have a whole series of tools that we think can help you, from Bamboo to building all the way through to our IDE connectors, which help take our server-side team-based tools and bring them right into your coding environments. And lastly, you have to actually launch the product, put a box around it, and drop some marketing ideas. Now again, product owners, depending on how your launch is going, if it's a public launch, you probably have a lot more marketing folks involved. If it's a private launch, maybe it's just internal, it's just a blog post. You need technical writers to write the documentation. Product owners probably going to be involved. There's probably some support that needs to be done. Marketing launch plans, for example, you need to draw up a list of tasks that have to be done. And again, Jira and Confluence come in extremely handy in this phase. Throughout the whole thing, though, there's really this tracking and discussion activity that has to happen. And you'll notice that if you track and discuss, pretty much everybody is involved, even the guy at the back. Now, when we're tracking, we're really working out what is the status of the project. We want everyone to be able to be up to date at all times with what exactly the status of the project is. We want to enable the discussion. We all have very open organizations that can hopefully contribute to the process of making a successful cycle. And we want to, most importantly, be able to react. If we're tracking and we have good discussions and good communication going on amongst our organization, we'll be able to react when things go wrong, as they inevitably do. Drawing this cycle as a small, perfect circle that we go around and around is obviously oversimplifying the way the world works. And that reaction, we think, is really, really important, to be able to see what's going wrong, take action, and take whatever detours are necessary. But this cycle, again, as I said, it's conceptually very simple, but in reality, it works for everything from a 2-year release down to a smaller iteration. And within that iteration, there's, again, these cycles. So the thing about these cycles is that they build on top of each other. right? A lot of these stakeholders, take your QA engineers, they're actually involved in this product, in this concept to launch cycle at a lot of different points at the one time, right? They may be working on specs for a new release at the same time as they're testing the launch of another release. So we try to build all of our tools so that your different teams can operate at different points in this cycle all at the same time. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of an idea about how we think about the problems that you guys have. It's pretty much how we think about building software, and we'd love your feedback to see how this maps to your businesses. Now let's get into the products themselves. I'm going to start by talking about Confluence. Now Confluence is an amazing content sharing, creation, collaboration tool. It's very, very flexible, and it's used by pretty much everybody, right? I'd be surprised if there's many people in the audience that don't use Confluence on a regular basis. Everyone from drug designers at large pharmaceutical companies collaborating on specifications, through hot startups in the valley debating what features they're going to add to the newest iPhone application, through banks and charities and all sorts of people around the world using it to create and share content. But the one problem all these organizations are having is they have to push adoption. They have to make sure the more people that are using Confluence, the better the collaboration that goes on within the organization. Confluence, is used for technical teams, right? So all of these activities you see around the cycle are really important and all can be brought into Confluence. As I mentioned, Confluence really requires adoption to get the best collaboration, the best contribution, everyone adding content from around your organization. And the number one barrier for Confluence adoption from you guys is basically editing, right? We've heard from you for probably 2 or 3 years now that we want a better editor, we want a better editor, we want a better editor. So what I want to do is take you on a little journey about how editing has evolved at Atlassian and show you a little bit about what we've coming up in terms of trying to solve that better editor problem for you. So a year ago, we were here and we launched Confluence 3.0. So Confluence 3.0 had a whole host of new features in it, and specifically in editing, we added things like context menus and the macro browser. Now, the macro browser really allowed you to bring macros, which are those programmable units of functionality, things like table of contents, things like being able to preview PowerPoint presentations in the page, and bring that content into your page. The macro browser itself allowed every user around your organization to not have to know the syntax to put in macros. They could browse for what macros are available, visually select one, configure the macro that they wanted to do, preview it, see it was going to do what they wanted it to do. So, for example, maybe they're adding in a task list, and then actually see it on the page. And the macro browser was a huge step forward in taking what was quite a complex concept and really trying to democratize it so everyone in your organization could use it. About 6 months ago, we launched Confluence 3.1, and that again pushed editing forward. So we added the insert menu to get to popular macros, the image browser to complement the macro browser, allowing you to put visual assets into the page much more easily. And we added a revolutionary feature which we call drag and drop. For those who aren't using drag and drop, let me give you a little preview of it. There we go. So drag and drop allows you to really take content and just take it from the desktop and put it straight into Confluence, wherever Confluence is running. So let's bring up the image browser here and see how we can go to our desktop, grab a whole bunch of images, so we can bulk upload a ton of content, just drag it, drop in the image browser, straight into my web browser from the desktop, and you'll see all the images turn up. Again, I can select it in the image browser and just insert it. Of course, I can also drag it straight into the editor itself. If I only have a single image, I can just go browse my desktop, find, in this case, a Summit logo, and I can just drag it and drop it right in. If I'm doing a marketing launch plan, very, very easy to get content from outside Confluence into the wiki. In 3.2, which was our last release, we added a whole bunch of speed features to enable you to edit more quickly. So we've got a lot of keyboard shortcuts now in the editor to enable you to very quickly not have to take your hands off the keyboard to get to these browsers and various other features. We added a link browser to complement the other two, the image and macro browser. And we added one of my favorite features, which is autocomplete. How many people use autocomplete in Confluence 3.2? About 20% maybe. It's awesome. It makes the editing so much easier. It's enabled me to switch to the rich text editor. So how it works is very, very simple. In the editor, you just start typing. You're typing text. You hit single keys, and you bring up lists of suggestions. In this case, the pages I've recently edited or viewed in the wiki. I can either use my mouse or just the down arrow to select one of these. Or if I want to find another piece of content from anywhere in Confluence, I just start typing. So here it's searching Confluence for me in the editor. I don't have to leave, and I can insert a link to that page. I can find people as well. If I want to put a link to one of our designers extraordinaire, Jeff, just drop it right in there. And similarly, it works with the exclamation point with image assets. So again, I can search all of Confluence for images that contain con. I can start here. That's not what I was looking for. Keep typing. Concept. There we go. And I can drop in my concept to launch diagram. The point of autocomplete is I don't need to leave the context of what I'm doing. I'm in the editor. I'm typing. I just keep typing. It finds things for me, and I move right on. It's very, very fast to create interlinked, rich pages. And today we're going to be launching the beta of Confluence 3.3, which is the next version of Confluence. It completes the autocomplete story, no pun intended, with macros. So again, if you want to get to macros now, you just simply type the left curly brace. You'll get a list of the macros. You can start typing, find them very quickly, enter, or just put them in, and you can keep on running with your content. And we've also added a feature for very simply editing assets within the editor that we call property panels. So let's take a quick look at that. So property panels, again, allow you to keep in the editor when you want to do things and preview things. So if I click on a link now, I get this very simple panel. It's very unobtrusive, but allows me to go to the link, edit it, or in this case, I can unlink it. I don't have to go to the link dialog and disrupt my editing session. Similarly, with images, we have a property panel which allows you to do things like manipulate the size very easily. So I can dynamically in the editor change, I want a small image, a big image, and I don't have to go anywhere. It's all very, very inline, and it helps you keep your thought process going while you're moving through it. Now, there's a whole bunch of other features in Confluence 3.3. That's just two that I've tried to show you. If you go to the State of the Union, they'll be going into what's in that beta in a lot more detail, and we'd love your feedback. But after 3.3, and actually for quite a while, most of the last year, we've been really working quite hard on what's going to come next, right? How do we take this editor to a whole nother level? And that's really what I want to share with you today, a little sneak peek of where that's going, and we really want to get your feedback over time. In order to show you where that's going, I have to take you on a little bit of a higher level journey. So if we step out of the evolution of editing and think about how editing in Confluence has changed from day one, not just over the last 12 months, we started with Wiki Markup. Wiki Markup has a number of strengths and weaknesses. So it's very, very fast, right? It's plain text. You just type it, you put in a star, word, star, you get bold. It's very, very fast. And it's very dependable. It's trustable. What you put in is exactly what you get. However, the downside is, obviously, for adoption, it requires learning some syntax. And it's plain text, so it's not visual. It's not particularly good for new users to be able to easily create content. So in Confluence 2.0, how many people here actually used Confluence when it was in 2.0? Wow, okay, a lot of people. About 30% of the audience. We added the rich text editor, and when we launched this, it was the first wiki with a rich text editor. And it, again, has its own strengths and weaknesses. So it's very, very simple. Again, it's a WYSIWYG editor, so you see exactly what you get. When you bold text, you select it, you bold it, and it's bolded. And it's rich. However, it's a bit slower, and it can be error-prone. The cycling between the rich text editor and the wiki markup is a problem. So what we wanted to do, and to take the Confluence editing to the next level, is really take the best of both editors and put them together into one unified new editor, which is what we're going to preview today. So we had some pretty simple goals when we've been working on this new editor for about the last year. The goals are quite simple. It has to be faster and simpler than Wiki Markup, right? We have a lot of Wiki Markup fans at Atlassian. Trust me, if you think you guys have rabid Wiki Markup fans, we have some amazing rabid Wiki Markup fans. And we're not going to ship this new editor until we've won over all of those fans at Atlassian to the new editor. They think it's faster and easier for them to create content. And similarly, for the people we have at work that use the rich text editor, it has to be a richer experience. It has to be more trustable. It has to be dependable. It has to work. If we're going to have one editor, it has to work the whole time. So let me show you a little preview of Confluence 4.0. So 4.0 has an entirely new editor built in. Now, first thing is it builds on all of these things. So we've thought about this as a long-term journey we've gone on in editing. All of the new features, the autocomplete, the browsers, they all work in the new editor. So it's not work that we're throwing away, it's work that we've been leading up to, and we've actually had people working on this new editor for quite a while. So let me show you a brief screenshot of the new editor here. The first thing you'll notice is that it's much larger. So when I bring it up in full screen, you can see that we take the full width of the page. We've tried to simplify a lot of the editing functions. You have the content functions at the top and the page functions at the bottom. They're nicely divided. The second thing you'll notice is besides taking up the full width of the page, We've also tried to give you as the full editing experience whenever you can. So as you start scrolling, you'll notice you get the full height of the page as well. So you get the maximum possible editing window. But you keep the tools at all times. So as you'll see in the demo, as we move around, we always keep our editing tools on the page. Now we've added a whole bunch of advanced content editing features. Again, if you go to the State of the Union, they'll show you all of them, or a whole series of them. I can only show you one here today. I've only got very brief time. But what I'm going to show you is that we can now merge table cells. So the table editing, hey! Wondering if that was going to clap. So the table editing features have gone way forward, as have outlines, bullet points, text indenting. It's a much, much, much richer editor. But we didn't stop at just the user experience and the editing features. We've also added macro placeholders. So you can now visually see macros in the page. You can also move them around much more easily. So in this case, I can drag and drop with a single click the macro. No longer do I have to select all the syntax or try to do things. I can just move them around. And again, you'll see one of the 3.3 features here. I can use macro autocomplete. So I can find macros very, very easily, get the editor and put them in. And I can also now drag them in and out of tables, for example. So that's a very, very brief overview of the new editor. What we're really looking for you guys to do is to give us feedback on this editor at the summit. It's a little while off yet, probably talking in the order of 3 to 6 months. We've been working on it for a long while, and we're really, really excited about it. As I mentioned, we're not going to ship it until it's faster than Wiki Markup, right? For everyone internally, until we've switched over everyone inside Atlassian to using the new editor, it's not going to be good enough. And it has to be easier to adopt than the rich text editor. If we can't achieve these two goals, we're not going to be shipping a new editor. Briefly, in terms of the features, again, full screen editor, macro placeholders, a whole bunch of advanced functions, etc., and no more round-tripping errors. It's one single editor, and it's a wonderful experience if you use it. So briefly, to sum up Confluence, we have the beta of 3.3 today. We'd love your feedback, especially if you're in the plugin ecosystem. Make sure that your plugins.atlassian.com or your plugin exchange entries are up to date, so people using the UPM that we just saw earlier get that, yes, the plugins are upgradable, they can move forward. And the 4.0 sneak peek that we're showing today. We'd really love it if you guys sign up for two things if you're interested in contributing to this new editing experience. One is the user task force. You can see the URL there. That enables you to be part of the Confluence journey over the longer term. And specifically at the conference, at the summit today and tomorrow, we're having peep show sessions. As Scott mentioned, you can sign up for these in the Fremont room up on level 5. Basically, you sit down with one of our product managers or one of our usability engineers for just 15 to 20 minutes. They'll run you through some of the new features, and you can talk to them about how they work in your organization, and what problems you're going to have. You can sign up for peep shows for Confluence and some of the new Jira features as well. So speaking of Jira, let's move on and talk about the oldest Atlassian application. Now, a year ago, we launched Jira 4, which was a huge release for us. It came out in October. Sorry, we announced the beta at the summit a year ago, and it came out in October. And as Scott mentioned, it pushed our support through the roof. Those guys were absolutely taxed because of all the upgrades that went on, but they pulled through amazingly. It had some huge new features in it, like JQL, which is, as Scott mentioned, I'm also a speed freak, and it's one of my favorite features that we have ever shipped at Atlassian. It was hugely complicated. It took us a long time to do, and still, to this day, no one can do the querying that Jira can do. To Brandon, thank you very much for making my day, saying JQL and Jira 4 is pretty much the most awesome thing ever. You also, I don't know if you know this, but you tweeted this on my birthday, so it made it a especially special day. And we've contributed to add to JQL over time. We've added a whole series of functions in each of the new releases so that JQL gets even more powerful. And if you use Jira plugins, there's a whole series of pluggable functions that people have written in the community. We also launched the new open social-based dashboard and a whole series of gadgets. Now, when we launched, we had about 30 gadgets in Jira. We now have well over 50 that you can put onto Jira, and that's just from our applications, let alone all the other things you can use from the plugins and from the open social community. You can drag in Crucible reviews, you can drag in build status, you can drag in a lot of green hopper things. This dashboard is wonderful for getting a single view of your project. Now, one of the things that we don't have so far is Confluence gadgets. So one of the other new features in 3.3 is the ability to take content from Confluence and put it into the Jira dashboard. Now, we've had in, I think it was Confluence 3.2, we added the ability to take any of these gadgets and drop them into a Confluence page, so you can have them contextually with your content. But the Confluence page gadget is quite new, and I want to show you how it works. It really enables you to take any specs, definitions of done, anything like that you have in your wiki, and drop them straight into the Jira dashboard. So here you can see we can actually use macros from within Jira. We can view and edit the page, as you can see at the top there. We can download attachments. All the macros run, as I said. And it's very, very easy to create these. We use the same thing we do in Confluence, autocomplete. So I can just find a space, find the page that I want to view, I can choose who I want it viewable, editable, and I can actually set it to refresh. So if I have Confluence pages that maybe use the SQL macro to generate charts from anywhere in my organization, I can stick them into my Jira dashboard as well. And in here you can see that PowerPoint viewing tools work as well. So this is really, really helpful for taking Confluence content and putting it onto the Jira dashboard. What I want to talk about though is we talked about putting Jira at the center of your development team, and the open social dashboards have really done that, right? They really help you bring a whole lot of content from around your organization in, and as I mentioned, there's about, I don't know how many it is, but it's a lot of gadgets you can get from the plugin exchange. For example, I know a couple of our partners are launching gadgets that will go to external web services today and bring content from those into your dashboard itself. But we thought, what if we could put Jira physically at the center of your team? Not just mentally, but physically at the center of your team. So let's talk about information radiators for a second. So an information radiator is a concept of having a sort of ambient awareness of what's going on in your development team. This is when developers walk around the office. So they walk to and from a meeting, a planning meeting, for example. They get in the morning. They have a stand-up. We want them to be peripherally aware at all times where the release is up to, or any data, in fact, that we want to share and we want developers to constantly be aware of. Now, we've used these as Atlassian since day one in various different forms, right? We've had whiteboards with things stuck on them. We've had walls with blue-tacked cards. We've had charts like this where you draw on a piece of paper. We've had scripts that we've hacked up that run and pull data from all over the place and display on a monitor in the corner. Who has one of these type of devices running in their development team? Quite a lot of people. So we thought, well, these are really good, and we've had a lot of scripts, as I said, running for a while. And we want to announce today a new feature called Jira Wallboards, which is coming as a plugin, and it's available in alpha today. And Jira Wallboards are really a way of taking Jira data and building these information radiators like you've never seen them before. And they're extremely sexy. Let me show you what one looks like. So they look much, much, much better than pretty much anything you can draw with a pen and paper. They look incredible from across the room. If you have an information radiator that's this large, you can see your builds from somewhere in Los Angeles, probably. And what they do is they show you all of the data from around your development process in a very visual fashion. So here we can see data from Jira on the left-hand side and Green Hopper. So we can see our burn down chart, we can see the completion of issues. So in the case of the a sprint here, we're about a third done, a third in progress, and a third yet to be started. We can also see, for example, days remaining. This is what information radiators are for. From a distance, really easily seeing developers, you want them to be aware at all times. How many days have we got left? 13, 12, 11, 10. They feel the energy, they feel the movement forward. But it's not just Jira and Green Hopper data we've brought into the Jira wallboards. It's data from all around the Atlassian stack. So you can see here the Bamboo build results. Again, very visual, easy to see from a distance. I have to be able to walk in the morning, see it down the other end of the Atlassian office and say, uh-oh, one of the builds is broken, I have to go and get on that. It's not the parts of the wallboard cycle, so you can choose what you want to put. So in this case, I'm going to cycle out the burn down chart, and I'm going to add the Crucible review blockers. So this is a list of the developers who have outstanding code reviews that are tied to Jira issues in the current sprint. So I want these people to be done. So if I'm the engineering manager and I walk in, I know I have to go straight to Craig's desk and say, hey mate, we've only got a couple of days left. Can you make sure to get onto those code reviews? Now the best part about these wallboards is they're building on top of our existing investments, right? So while it looks beautiful and visual from a distance, all the fonts are very large, it looks wonderful on a monitor in the corner of the development team. We can also bring in data from other places. So this is a Twitter wallboard element that we have written that allows you to show a Twitter feed, in this case just the Atlassian Summit search results. Now we actually only wrote this on Tuesday at request of one of the founders, and it was written in about 2 hours, and it looks amazing, right? You can get this online as an example of how to write these things. But the best part about these wallboards is that they're actually all open social gadgets. So any gadget that you have can be thrown onto a wallboard. And if you're a plugin author out there, you can add a new wallboard mode to your gadgets to enable them to display beautifully in large size and be visible from a distance. So how do we create these things? Well, no more writing of scripts, no more scribbling on paper. Let's watch a very quick movie of how easy it is just to create a Jira wallboard. So again, as I mentioned, it's just an open social dashboard with a very special view. So in this case, I'm going to create a new dashboard. I'm going to be really creative. I'm going to call it the Summit Wallboard. I can use all of my normal dashboard tools, so I can share this wallboard. If I have distributed teams in 2 different locations, they can view each other's wallboard if you share it. You can have 2 monitors that show how the different teams are working. Again, they're all just gadgets. So to build this, I just use the normal gadget browser. I search for wallboard, and I can go and add things like the Bamboo results from my build. I can add burn down charts from Greenhopper. I can add days remaining. I can add Crucible review blockers, or I can add Twitter or anything else that I want to write. Again, gadgets are just XML, HTML, and CSS. So it's very easy to take all sorts of data and bring them into the wallboard in a very visual way. You can use our CSS to work on the big fonts and make it as beautiful as our gadgets are. So once I've added all of my data, again, I just click Finished, and I've built a dashboard. I go to Tools, and I go View as Wallboard, right down the bottom, and you'll see, boom, I have a wallboard. It's that easy. I can drag them around in the dashboard view, and every time I go View as Wallboard, they will have moved orientation. And the cycling is done really cleverly as well. So the cycling is just done with the colors. So if you have a series of different colors, it'll cycle through the colors that you have on the dashboard. So you can use the same dashboard that you use for the wallboard and vice versa. It's really changing the way that we do development at Atlassian. And you can see from these goats who are looking at the other information right here, they're a lot happier now. They have little smiles on their faces. So that's available in alpha today. As I mentioned, it's a plugin. So if you install that plugin, you get all your Jira and Greenhopper data. Now, we've been a little sneaky here. If you've downloaded the latest releases of Bamboo, that's 2.6, or Crucible or Fisheye, that's 2.3, you actually got all the wallboard gadgets already in those releases that we've shipped out over the last couple of months. If you download this plugin and install it in Jira, you can get all of those running today. It's in alpha. It's moving quite fast, but we hope that you guys put Jira physically at the center of your development team as well. And we'd love your feedback about this feature and anything else you'd like to see on these wallboards, either through the plugin ecosystem, you can contribute to them, or just give us your feedback over the next couple of days. So wallboards provide a very physical user experience. But let's talk about the user experience of Jira itself. We've been on quite a user experience journey in Jira over the last year, over the last 2 years perhaps. And user experience is not just about user interface. This is a really important point. It's about creating new ways for you to do things, and it's about solving problems in the user interface. So we really think about 2 types of users when we're doing user experience work. One is the new users. These are the people who've never used Jira before. These are the people who don't use Jira frequently. Maybe they're customers of yours. They just want to get something done kind of quickly and go on and do the rest of their day. They value things like simplicity and learnability in the interface. And we have this other group of users. These are the advanced users. These are the guys who they hang out in Jira all the time. They really value speed and power, right? They want to be able to use JQL to do massively complicated queries and get to exactly the slice of issues that they want. And I imagine you guys in the audience are probably more in this second category than in the first category. So over the last year, we've worked on a whole lot of user experience features in Jira. So in 4.0, we shipped a whole new visual language. So we updated the project summary page, user profile pages, and obviously the dashboards. We had a drag and drop, the gadget browser, to enable you to much more easily create and manipulate dashboards. We also added features like sharing, obviously, to distribute them around your team. In 4.1, about 3 months ago, maybe not even that, April I think it was, March, we changed the interface of the view issue page, largely targeted at new users. So we spent a lot of time in 4.1 on working with new users who had never seen Jira before, people around our organization that didn't use it very often, on working out how they could find the features much more easily, how they could understand the issue page. Now, 4.1 was really about new users. 4.2 is a little different. 4.2, we have got new user features. So we've simplified the issue navigator to add the same visual language. We've simplified the basic query form, for example. It's a lot less obtrusive out of the box. We've added nice features like user avatars and being able to get user pop-ups so you can get to user data, right? We've added some features like you can put time tracking now into any form anywhere in Jira. You can do multiple searches, so you now have different searches open in different tabs, all the things that new users would expect. But let's spend some time really talking about you guys here. You're probably on the right-hand side of that diagram. You're probably in the advanced user camp. And 4.2 is really designed for you, right? Most of our time in 4.2 has been spent on making advanced users go faster in Jira, giving them more power to do things in less time. So we had one pretty simple goal when we started with 4.2, And that's really to give you guys back 15 minutes in every day. This is our goal. For advanced users to give them back 15 minutes per developer per day. Now, if you put it over a... Thank you, whoever cheered down the back there. It lets you get one more coffee in the day, right? So 15 minutes a day is about 8.5 days a year, right? That's at a normal, if you're down in the valley at an engineer's salary, that's per engineer about twice the price of Jira that you're going to get back by upgrading to 4.2 in just speed alone. And that's for one developer. So let me show you how we're going to do that. So let's do a sample issue triage session, right? I'm the bug master. I come in the morning. I've got a series of bugs that have been submitted overnight, maybe from my QA team or from features, suggestions from users. So I'm going to do that sample issue triage, and I'm going to use 3.13, which is the most popular version of Jira right now. So in 3.13, this probably looks pretty familiar to you. I open the issue navigator, I click on an issue, I get to the view issue page, I click on assign, I get the assign page, reloads again, I pick the assignee, and then I get back to the view issue page, I've assigned it, and I click back on find issues, and I get back to the issue navigator. Now here I've used 4 screens to get there. I've done 4 clicks, and I've only assigned 1 issue, right? But 1 issue is not really a triage session. 1 issue is assigned. Perhaps in my triage session, I then go comment on another issue that's the second in the list of coming in overnight. And then I'm going to go and resolve a different issue because it's a duplicate, for example. I want to get that out of the way really quickly. And I've used 12 screens to get that. In 4.2, you're not going to be using 12 screens at all. In 4.2, we're going to do it all with 1 screen. We're going to do everything that we've just done from the issue navigator. And we're going to do it all without picking up the mouse once. We're going to do it all with keys. We're going to do it very, very fast. So let's show you a little movie of this. So the first thing you notice is I tap the A key and I bring up an assign dialog, right? It looks exactly like the assign form, but it's much, much quicker. It comes up with a single keystroke. The second thing you'll notice is I'm going to assign this issue to Nick. Somewhere in the audience is Nick. Got some work to do, buddy? I just start typing, right? And I can find the assignee. In this case, I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to find Nick, so I can use the up and down keys. And I'm going to submit the dialog. What you're going to notice is I stay on the issue navigator and I've updated the assignee to Nick. Bang, really, really quick. Now I'm going to go pick the next issue. Oh, we move down. J and K just scrolls up and down the list. M, I'm going to comment on the second issue. Again, pops open a dialog, single keystroke, haven't left the issue navigator. I can type. In this case, I'm going to say it's my design and submit it. I'm going to hit J again to move down to the next issue. I'm going to hit the period key. This allows me to get to every single action I can do from that issue. Again, using autocomplete. So things like assigning, in this case, I'm going to type RE. I'm going to get to resolve, because that's what I want to do this third issue, right? I found the workflow transition to resolve, named on my custom workflow in whatever language I'm using. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to bring up the entire resolve screen. You can see I've got all of the time tracking functions now in 4.2 can be put on the resolve screen. I'm going to resolve that issue, and you see it's been resolved and fixed. Again, I'm still in the issue navigator. All I've typed is, I think, about 16 keystrokes. I've never picked up the mouse once. So in 3.13, 12 screens. 4.2 for the advanced users. Just the 1 screen. Just the issue navigator. We never left it, and we didn't pick up the mouse once. So if you guys are into keyboard shortcuts, this stuff is awesome, and we're only just getting started. All of this stuff works on the view issue page as well. So if you're on the view issue page, you can just hit period or dot or full stop wherever you come from in the world. Full stop, start typing, and away you go. So if I have a 3-issue triage session, that's what I do. But where this really comes into its own is with bigger triage sessions, right? I probably have 30 issues. 30 issues, I get even more power, right? I now have 120 screens in 3.13, and in 4.2, still just 1, right? For those maths whizzes out there, it doesn't matter how many issues I have to triage, just the 1 screen. And again, no mouse, right? No mouse. You can disconnect it from your computer. If you're using Bluetooth, you can pull out the batteries. I don't need the mouse anymore. And let's look back at those autocomplete features just quickly. So again, I mentioned that period key. It's really, really powerful. I just hit 1 key, and I bring up this dialog. It works on view issue. It works on the issue navigator. Anywhere I am, I can find an issue, I hit period, I bring it up. I can find workflow transitions, I can find any actions, they can come from plugins, they can come from anywhere. Couple of keystrokes, I can find everything I want to do on the issue. Just hit enter and away we go. I get autocomplete in the assignee, for example, but I get it in more fields than that. If I'm finding issues, I get history search and current search to find issues very, very quickly if I'm linking. If I'm having other fields, for example, components, no more huge drop-downs. I just type ahead. Multi-selects are very, very easy. It's all keyboard-driven. It's amazingly fast for the new user, for the advanced user, sorry. So that's Jira 4.2. That's in early access at the moment. We're looking to ship that in about in July. So what we'd really like is your feedback at this show. We'd really like you to sign up for one of those peep show sessions and let us know what you think of the key bindings, let us know what you think of how it works. Does it going to fit your workflow, and is it going to save you time? Right? If it's not going to save you time every day, tell us today and we'll work on it. So come July, it does save you time, and if you can help us make it save you even more time, we would love that as well. So let's move on quickly to Greenhopper. Now, Greenhopper joined us. We announced the acquisition of Greenhopper on this stage, or the other stage, a year ago. And it's been quite a year for Greenhopper. It's celebrating its 1-year birthday. Woo! It's 1 year old. And let's have a look at what Greenhopper has done in this last year. So if we look from the last summit, which was the Blue Mountain, to this summit, which is the Green Mountain, let's just see what's happened with Greenhopper over that year. So it started quite a successful product. With 4.0, it really took a huge left turn, and it's been growing and growing and growing and growing. It's changing the way you guys do Agile on a daily basis. And about 3 weeks ago, we passed 10,000 people using Greenhopper. We had 900 when we came here last year. We now have over 10,000 companies using Greenhopper in 1 year. It's our fastest growing product ever. It just smashed through every barrier we thought it would during the year. And as far as we can determine, from looking at the competition and other people around doing the same thing, we have shipped more Agile servers in the last 12 months than any other company on the planet. And we're only 1 year into Greenhopper, right? It's quite amazing from our perspective. It's been a big year of features. We've had 6 releases. As you'd expect, Greenhopper is the most agile team at Atlassian. Why wouldn't they be? So they've added a whole bunch of amazing features. So we added markers. We're still the only company that has these markers to enable you to put barriers into the prioritized list and determine how many features are going to fit above and below the marker. We added epics, so for long-running features that have a whole bunch of subtasks. We added templates. So now if you haven't used Greenhopper, you can just pick a project, say I want this to be Scrum, and it does everything to configure it in Jira for you. We added a whole series of gadgets. As we've just seen, you can put Greenhopper data, burn-down charts onto your dashboards, and now you can put those same days remaining, the burn-down charts, onto your wallboard to make them information radiators for your whole team. And we've added some pretty kick-ass Kanban support. So for those of you who do Kanban, we think we have the best Kanban tool that money can buy. But are we done? Well, it's 1 year old. It's been very successful. Over 10,000 new customers. What's left to do with Greenhopper? Well, today we're going to launch Greenhopper 5. Works better with the text. There we go. Today we're going to launch Greenhopper 5, which is a huge step forward for Greenhopper. We've shipped you a whole lot of features in the past, but there was one thing since the day that Greenhopper came on board with us that I really wanted to change. It looked kind of ugly and it was very confusing. A lot of features, a little hard to get to them. So let me show you how we're going to totally change that in Greenhopper 5. We've overhauled it completely. It looks nothing like Greenhopper 4 did. Let's start with a little movie. Firstly, it has all of the same features. So we've added a ton of stuff in the last year. We have all of the same features. We've just simplified the interface radically. Everything is way further away from you that you don't need to use very often, and closer to you for the things you do use often. It has a totally different user experience. It's much prettier. It's just nicer to use. We've got this new card look and feel, which is maintained throughout Greenhopper, so to enable you to see cards very easily. That's maintained, for example, in the pages of issues and things like that. Now, we've also added a very popular feature so you can drag between pages. So here I can take an issue off page 2, maybe it's way down the list, and drag it right up to page 1 and drop it exactly where I want it in the prioritized list of issues. Across pages, very visually, you'll notice the same card look and feel. It's very simple. I just drop it in and away I go. The other thing we've added is inline edit. So in Greenhopper now, you don't waste time in your planning meetings going to Jira and doing a bunch of editing. You can do all of your editing from within Greenhopper. It's all in line. Everywhere you see one of these new cards, you can edit the fields that you're looking at. Now we've got multi-select. We've had that. We added that during the year. Again, when you actually drag a whole lot of issues now, it's a lot simpler. You can see them very, very easily. 5 issues, I can drop them in. We've added these little menus. So as an example, we've taken a lot of functionality and dropped it back to a very simple menu operation. So here I'm going to take this release 4.3 and I'm jump across to the taskboard. You'll notice when I jump across the taskboard, again, same card look and feel. Much, much prettier. I'm going to use drag and drop to resolve an issue here. I'm going to drag it between 2 statuses, pick a workflow transition, and I've resolved the issue with drag and drop. Again, I can do all this in meetings and save a lot of time. And lastly, we've re-architected the chartboard. So it has the same look and feel. You now get all of the project statistics at all times on the right-hand side of the chartboard. This is really useful. So if you're in a stand-up or a retrospective, you can play with the charts and look at what happened with your team in a very physical manner and keep all the statistics, for example, see your velocity all along the way. So if I just bring up that look and feel again, you can see, for those of you who use Greenhopper, you'll know the huge amount of functionality that it has. And it's all still there. It's just a lot prettier. It's a lot easier to use. It's a lot easier to learn and understand. If you just focus on the top here, you'll see, for example, to change projects, to change contexts, to change boards is very, very easy and visual now. For those who are using Greenhopper now, let's go back and have a look at what it looked like yesterday. You'll notice a lot more features thrown at you, right? You have a lot more drop-downs and toggles and widgets. It's all of that same functionality is there. It's just pared back and a lot more simple. It's a lot easier for you to use. And it's just a prettier experience. It's a more visceral experience. When you're using it, you just feel better. So that's Greenhopper 5, and that's available today. You can download it. If you're a Greenhopper user, you can upgrade. It's very, very good, and we'd love your feedback. Again, we have a lot of people from the Greenhopper team here, so they'd love to hear from you if you guys are doing agile planning, how these features help you, and if you turn up to the State of the Union, they can tell you some of the things that we have coming up over the year as well, because we're not done with Greenhopper 5. There's a lot further that we're going to go with this. So just to quickly summarize, we've sort of talked you through how we think about the cycles that you go through, the concept to launch cycles of large releases, iterations, and then small features, and how our job is to help all of the different stakeholders in your process, not just the developers, but all the different stakeholders do their tasks at different stages in that cycle. For the Confluence fans, we've got 3.3 out in beta today. It's going to be released in about 2 weeks. Please test your plugins, play with the new features, and give us some feedback. And if you're a 4.0 fan or you want to influence the development of our new editor core, please sign up for one of those peep show sessions, spend some time with one of our product managers or usability guys, and let us know how that editor is going to work for you. For the Jira fans, try the wallboards. They're very, very sexy when running in a team. That's all I can say. They're awesome. We'd love your feedback on these. Download the alpha. It's a plug-in, so it'll iterate very, very fast, and you'll be able to upgrade it through the UPM. And again, 4.2, sign up for a peep show. Let us know if it's going to save you time. More importantly, let us know if you don't think it's going to save you time. Where do you think Jira costs you time right now that we could improve? We'd love to hear from you. Sign up for one of those peep show sessions at the summit. And Greenhopper, again, totally new user experience, much simpler, much more attractive, saves you a lot of time in the various agile meetings you have, planning meetings, retrospectives, and stand-ups. 5.0 is available today. So that's about all I have time for. I'd like to say thank you very much to everybody for coming. I'd like to extend my own personal thank you to the awesome group of folks that I get to work with every day. They truly make it worthwhile coming to work every day, from the marketing team who's been absolutely busting a gut to make this whole thing happen, through the engineers who just keep astounding us with amazing features continually, to the support guys, the customer service guys that man the back office all around the world, take your queries and try to deliver the legendary service that we're famous for. So thank you very much. I'll be around for the next 2 days. Don't forget about the party tonight. Sign up for one of those peep shows. And don't forget about the keynote tomorrow. We'll have more interesting things, especially diving into the dev tools, some of the SaaS services, and a couple of future-looking exciting announcements. So thank you very much. Have a good time. And before you go, let me just hand over to Jay Simons, who's going to come up and do a few housekeeping announcements about what's going on over the next couple of days. Here's Jay.
Thanks, everybody. I make sure to tack on more to the agenda every year just so I have something to come up here and explain. I asked the guys, give me something to talk about. And they said, well, just tell people where the bathrooms are. So I think slides are up. Couple of notes, and then we'll get you to break. So firstly, for those of you that were here last year, click. For those of you that were here last year, you know that we like to try some fairly risky maneuvers. Last year, the lightning talks, by the way, didn't quite work. Who remembers the lightning talks last year? Yeah, sorry about that. This year, the lightning talks are nothing like last year's lightning talks. They're in dedicated rooms. It'll be quiet. You'll hear the speakers. There won't be people frantically trying to put up microphones in front of them. It'll work. But I'll tell you, one potentially risky thing we're going to try is a Launchpad event. And so after the break, you're going to come back here. We're going to have 13 companies who we've given 5 minutes apiece to basically launch our products in a no-holds-barred cage match competition. And you all, with your mobile phones or your laptops, will vote on the winner in real time. So caveat is it could completely explode on me, but we're going to give it a try. We're going to give it a try. So at 10:30, come back in this room for the Launchpad event. It's going to be awesome. Am I not clicking the right? There we go. How do I recognize staff? So I've had a bunch of people say, how do I get one of those green T-shirts? The simple answer is contact HR at Atlassian.com. These are for employees only, and every employee will wear them. You know, the one caveat I'll give you is we actually only gave employees one shirt. So tomorrow you might not want to meet employees in green shirts. Find us today while we don't stink. Last year you said, look, we want to meet you guys. And there's a bunch of us guys that actually live in the other part of the world, and we flew a whole bunch of them over. I want to tell you quickly where to meet them. So first off, the Atlas Bar, you're going to meet support and technical sales and people with product questions that can answer any questions you have about the product or your products or support issues. Go there from 1 to 5 today, all day tomorrow. Charlie Lounge is basically one-on-one time for you. In your schedule, you'll see a bunch of topics. There are people that can speak to those topics during those times. So if you're interested in Jira, there will be people there. You can basically meet them one-on-one, ask any question that's in the top of your head. Fireside chats. Tomorrow I'll talk about this again, but we're going to break the room, split the room into 2 for the lightning tracks. Concurrent with that are these product fireside chats. You can't be 2 or 3 different places at once, but it's basically kind of an intimate open mic opportunity with product teams from our 3 different product groups, Jira, Confluence, and DevTools. And finally, the Peep Show. Peep Show space is limited. So if I were you and you're really interested in that, I would go there right now because there's a finite number of spaces, and it's first come, first serve. You have to sign up. It'll be the best 20 minutes you'll ever have. So speaking of Peep Show, sneak peeks at Jira and Confluence. Mike mentioned Fremont Room, 5th floor upstairs. You sign up there, and they'll basically give you a slot and then call you to remind you. My Summit. Who's using My Summit right now? Right? So I totally encourage you to use it. It's basically a sort of a social messaging system, so you can hook it up to Twitter if you want to broadcast out at the same time, but if you want to shout at people inside the system, hey, I want to meet you at lunch, it's a great place to do that. You can search for people by profile, by company, by product interest. You can also build your schedule, and so you can add the events that you want to go to in the breakout sessions over the next 2 days, and you can find your doppelganger in groups of product interest or region or industry. All of this is available on your mobile phone too. Looks a little bit better on iPhone than those of you with Blackberries, but it works. Surveys and breakout rooms. Tell us how you feel. It's a simple system, right? There are 3 cards, 3 different colors. If you thought the breakout session was awesome, put the green in the box. Average is yellow. Needs work is red. We're trying not to overcomplicate it. You can write whatever you want on any of those cards if you want to give us feedback, as raw and unadulterated as you wish. And then basically just drop them in. We encourage you to do that. Thursday party. Wristbands are required, although I just heard that we ran out of wristbands, so your badge will work too. It's at Jillian's, which is just across the street. There will be plenty of drink or food. Starts at 6, and we've got some surprises in store. One of which is that we're going to challenge you. One thing you don't know about us is that we absolutely kick ass at Rock Band, right? Kick ass. So we are going to take on, a team of Atlassian is going to take on a team from Customware, our platinum sponsor, and 2 completely random customer teams. So here's the catch, right? If you play rock band, visit that URL, either in a web browser, on your mobile phone. Doesn't really work on BlackBerry, sorry. And you will select the instrument that you play the best. First come, first serve. So if you're a rock band guitar aficionado, select guitar. We will notify those teams. You'll be basically select your instrument. We'll notify those teams, and we'll organize a chance to talk to you later today. There's no rehearsals, by the way. And you're going to take us on. And believe me, there are huge prizes for this, including free passes to come back next year and some other good stuff. So please make sure to sign up. Otherwise, I'll be tapping you on the shoulder and telling you that you're playing an instrument of my choice. Twitter, Flickr, and insert here. The tags are Atlassian and Summit, Wi-Fi Summit, and Summit Goat. And finally, just a word about the elevators. Stairs. So if you go right outside, walk up the 5th floor, that's where Food and Nibbles are. We'll see you back here in 25 minutes. Thanks very much.